When you're an entrepreneur with a great idea, it can be daunting to find funding. Startup Raven takes the process out of your hands by helping entrepreneurs connect and learn about potential investors all in one place, without any long-filled forms or 1,000 questions. Sign up for early access at Startuprad.io.
Welcome to Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io. Today I bring you another interview, but this time with an investor. Therefore, I would like to welcome Michael, the founder and general partner of the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund, also called ECBF. And I think in the interview, I will just refer it as the fund. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Thanks. Nice. And thank you for having me.
Totally my pleasure. Interesting thing is when you go a little bit through your personal CV, you see that there is an institution in the past that we've already covered. People may remember the interview from Alex from Frankenberg, the managing director of High-Tech Gründerfonds, HTGF, one of Europe's most active seed investors. And actually, you've been the first boss there, right? You built up this entity.
That was a great pleasure to work for HTGF. I had even the chance to write the business concept for the fund. So that was in 2004 and 2005. And we set up the organization and we set up a great team, invested in a quiet number of companies. And it was really a very intensive learning. And all the experience were good enough to be selected to set up the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund.
Mm-hmm. And when I get my math not totally wrong, you've been there around 14 years.
Yeah, well, that's from 2000. I've been there from 2005 until the end of 2019. So there's almost, and if you include the time of preparation, it comes up to 15 years.
Ooh,
so that's long. And that's also a reason why it's a good idea to start something new. So if you set up so many companies from scratch, you think, why not do it yourself?
And that will lead us to, as I said, the fund ECBF, who came up with a name that's quite a mouthful. Can you tell us a little bit about the background and the name of the fund? We'll get a little bit into the nitty-gritty details soon.
Yeah, well, we have already a history. So we start to think about establishing a new organization already in 2018. Because the European Investment Bank, they analyzed the market for bioeconomy and investing in sustainable projects carefully, and they found out there's a lack of growth stage funding in this area. So therefore, they put out a tender to find a team executing and setting up such a fund. So then I met some people from them, and and they asked me maybe to contribute a bit, and worked some weekends together with Michael Nettersheim and Dirk. He's our CFO, and Michael is the other co-founder. And we prepared a bit of a business concept, and we put it in the process, and then we were selected to set it up. And that was the beginning. And then you do all what is needed. You set up the whole institution, and then you need to do fundraising, because of course the European Investment Bank don't give you a single euro before you don't get another private investor. So that was a very intensive time. So we started at the beginning of 2020. Actually, we quitted our job at the last day of 2019. And then we thought, okay, it just will take us 3 months for the first closing. But then, of course, you know that the Corona time starts, and we were a bit stuck. That was really, something like a roller coaster ride, because we always thought, well, this is a very demanding thing, because all the investors we had in our pipeline disappeared. Just the European Investment Bank and 2 private, one family office and 1 corporate, they stayed with us. And that was really a bit demanding, because you could not get in contact to new LPs, potential investors, and you could not, we could not increase the number. So then we convinced the European Investment Bank that they give us the chance to set up the fund with these 3 investors. So that was fantastic that we got them. And then we started the fund in August 2020. And the time came better quickly, as you already know, probably as well. So in September, everybody were used already to communicate via screens, to maybe even get in contact to new people via the screen, which was absolutely impossible in March, April, and May 2020. But in September, it was okay. So then we could reach out to further investors. In December, we had already 175. And then the train was going. And other organizations, corporates, family offices, they said, okay, that's an interesting story. The topic is interesting. And we want to invest with some impact. And then they joined the fund. At the end, the fund was even oversubscribed. So we lifted the cap from 250 to 300, and then even that was oversubscribed. So that was really exciting and very great for us. So there's always a crisis, but we were very tough, and we got it together with a lot of patience and engagement to reach it. Because, we got nothing, We went to the unemployment agency here to get funding for our families. We went to where we even get Corona support by the local communities here as a very young startup. But then at the end, it is fantastic that we could make it. And now we have a full running organization. We have a great team in place. We have already done our first investments. And we have even our own office here, but we also spread all across Europe. So that's fantastic and exciting. But to start, this is, of course, a demanding thing. I think most of the startups can share that.
Mm-hmm. I was also kind of on the same ship. I wasn't necessarily leaving my last job voluntarily. But nonetheless, I also decided to do something new, to venture out during times of Corona, approximately a year after you did. And when Corona didn't go away as fast as everybody hoped, did you have a few minutes where you thought, am I really doing the right thing here?
Oh, if you really calculate the risk carefully, you will never start a startup. So, you must be a bit crazy, a bit ambitious to do this. And you cannot see in the future, if you, in hindsight, it was okay because it was successful. However, if you really look to the risk, it was a bit crazy because, nobody could expect that we get a corona crisis at the beginning of 2020. So that was really a great surprise for all of us. And that hit us, of course. And of course, then you think, oh, maybe we cannot make it. Maybe it's the wrong decision, of course. And even your family. I have 3 kids. And they just wanted to study. I said, look, hey, what are you doing there? You are, we have our future, want your support for our studies. What are you doing there? So it's a demanding time, but at the end, it's very intensive and very great learning to see that, to have your own experience about really risk. Most of the investors, they talk a lot about risk, but they don't know it. They've never really set up a new startup from scratch. And that is really different. It's a very important lesson to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think that setting up a company during such times, they really hit home, because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So
Yeah.
basically, you went out to a new job. First, investors disappeared. I actually heard this from a few other people. For example, friends of mine were trying to set up a VC fund. They even had signed contracts, and investors disappeared, meaning their LPs, meaning the people who give you money to manage it as a VC. And at the end, you have been oversubscribed with even 300 million. That means there have been more people wanted to give you money than 300 million. How did you decide to cap the fund there?
Well, the original plan was to raise a fund of 250. So that was already our hard cap. And then we talked to the investors like, look here, we want to increase that to 300. And they agreed. But if you do it larger, then you need to have a different business concept. So you can, the business concept is still good for the 300. So if you can do it with 250, it's still okay with 300. We also have inflation, and the companies need more money, and that's all fine. But if you raise more, then you need to you have to write a new business concept. And that's a different story. So then it is a different business. And we started with our concept, and we agreed on this concept with our initial LPs, especially the European Investment Bank. They put out the tender. So if you come across with completely different ideas later, they cannot, because then they have to repeat the tender. So that's why we 300 is a huge success for this startup, for first-time fund, and so that's why we could not increase this amount further, and we are very happy about it. It's great to have that trust from the investors.
Mm-hmm. First, congratulations on the success. I also found a few LPs you have officially named in your documents. For example, NRW Bank, NRW Bank, private investors like Nestle, Neste, Corbion, Büfa, Köhler Group, Volkswohlbund, Hettich, Invest NL, meaning Invest Netherlands, Telos, Heino, and some more. Can you tell us a little bit? I know there is a special story behind, for example, having Nestle as an investor, right?
Yeah, well, Nestle, they are very interested in the topic sustainable packaging. It's a food company, and we cover this area as well. But their main focus is on how they can introduce sustainable packaging, and that is for this they just implemented a fund of fund company. So they put some money along, and we heard it. You are setting up a new institution to put money into venture capital funds. So then we knocked on that door, and we knew somebody from the Nestle team there. So we called them, and they said, okay, send us a business concept we might look at. And then they analyzed the whole market and said, look here, we don't find anybody better than you. So we put money in our fund. So that was really, it was fantastic. And that was really also amazing, because they have not really talked a lot to us. Because usually, with the European Investment Bank, we had 1 year due diligence. That was really exhausting and very intensive. We always went to Luxembourg to do team checks and everything. But with Nestlé, it was different because of Corona. They could not really interact. So that was all via screen. And, they did, I think, 100 of reference calls. And at the end, they did it.
Hey guys, this is Joe from Startuprad.io. Today I want to introduce you to our newest partner, Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up the top trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. We are also available there with all of our podcasts. Subscribe now and get 1 month off the premium subscription with the code StartupRad, STARTUPRAD on newsly.me.
And it's still, these kind of investors are important because they contribute money, but they also contribute a lot of expertise, knowledge, and market access. So they have great networks. And, their LinkedIn account has 11 million followers. So if they're, so that's really impressive, isn't it? And they have a huge network, and they have experts about all these topics. So we invite these experts to work on specific topics together, and that is fantastic. That's very interesting. For instance, if you look to Nestlé, they are customer of insects. So they buy insects from the insect producing companies to produce pet food. That is what they do. And we have one insect company in our portfolio. So before we invested in this, we had a workshop with our LPs. And we have one company, they're dealing with waste. So they know all the topics around feedstock. So how can you feed the insects? They have feedstock there. And on the other hand, you have Nestlé. So they are customer of insects. And then you see that from different angles, this animal you can look at from different angles. And that's, of course, very interesting. And we could learn so much and so quickly. So that's why these investors, the corporates, actually 9 corporates, are fantastic to work with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they are looking for solutions that they really can apply in their business.
Yes, sure. And, they want to learn what's going on in the whole area of bioeconomy, because they now the innovation speed, the change speed will increase dramatically. So all the value change will change quickly and more quickly. So they need to adapt. And if they don't, they might get lost on the way. So that's really a fear they have. You could see that, well, we have learned that with the digitalization. So all the companies, they had to define themselves, or many of them have to define themselves completely new. If you look to the music industry, or if you look to photos, they tremendous changes. And we expect the same in the transformation from a fossil-based linear economy to a bio-based circular one. So you see tremendous changes. So then the companies need to adapt. And of course, innovation speed is a bit limited in their own organization. So they need innovation from outside. Mm-hmm. So if you have quick changes in the market and a very high level of uncertainty, actually you have the best environment for startups and venture capital.
Mm-hmm. Talking about startups, we've been now talking approximately 20 minutes about your startup, the ECBF, and let us talk a little bit about the type of startups you are looking to invest in. I do understand it's European Union, EU 27, and 16 additional countries in the Horizon 2020 program. Also, you have some ESG in governance, environmental, social, and governance criteria you also need to apply in addition to the normal startup. So can you tell us a little bit how this all is strung together in your pitching application selection process?
Yeah, well, it's not so complicated. First of all, you need to be registered in one of the European countries, or you want to really to do business there. Then you need to have a bio-based business, so bio-based materials or business focusing on producing biomass, like agtech, food and feed. So that's producing of nutrition and packaging and construction materials are important. So if you belong to this area, if you have a bio-based product contributing to the transformation to a sustainable bioeconomy, then you are welcome. And we do not do investment in the very early stage. So we need to have so you need to be ready to grow. So that means you have a technology readiness level of 6. So you have maybe a pilot plant ready. The first products are theirs, and we have some customers to ask. So there's no significant technology risk anymore. So the product is ready, and then we can scale up, and then you are welcome. So then we contribute 2 to 20 million euros equity capital, and we would like to syndicate with others. So we invite others to join the round, and then we can scale up. And of course, if you do not have an impact on the transformation to a more bio-based circular economy, we don't touch. Mm-hmm. So that's a prerequisite. We need to have that. That is absolutely important. And we don't invest without this impact. And of course, a clear alignment with the so-called environmental, social, and good governance criteria. For all our more dealing with these details, we are an Article 9 fund according to the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation.
Mm-hmm. I see. And you guys, meaning you as a legal entity, are located in Bonn, the former capital of Germany, but your team is spread out all over Europe. And as we already mentioned, you can also invest all across Europe. I would be curious if you can name a few interesting investments and why they caught their interest, and then we'll go into what startups can expect when they apply and how they apply.
Yeah. First of all, we are really a pan-European organization. So our fund is registered in Luxembourg, by the way. And we invest all across Europe, and we have invested in 7 different countries already. Maybe one example I've already mentioned is the production of insects. So we have a company, they have we think the most sophisticated factory in place, producing 10,000 tons of insect products. There's a company called Protix. It's really a growth story. We have also a company located in Slovenia, and they have a trap to catch the insects on farmers' field to really analyze what kind of insects are there and what is the population of insects are doing, so that they can give the recommendation to the farmer, do you really have to spray or not? Mm-hmm. And because they can include, and it's an artificial intelligence, so they include the climate data, wind and temperature and so on. And then, according to this, they give a reputation to or good advice to the farmer, so that they can spray or not. So that's fantastic because it combines digital topics, artificial intelligence with this more precise farming. Mm-hmm. So then we have a company located in France, and they have a new phytosterol that is a part of a hormone of a plant that makes the plant more resilient against stress from drought. So that because we have in the future we expect drier summers, and that is stress for the plants. And if the farmer gives this phytosterols to the plant, then the wheat or soy is more resilient against drought. So these kind of climate change adaptation companies are also very welcome.
Mm-hmm. I see. So basically, there is no clear cut area you're looking for, not as B2B SaaS companies like other investors are looking at. So you have a very broad horizon of potential investments you can make. Let's say I would have something interesting for you. Down in the show notes, we will have an email address where you can pitch. And how would be the process? What does a startup expect to have until, let's say, a few months down the road, they get an investment? And by the way, how long does it on average take to get an investment with you guys?
Usually it is not so complicated. You just send me an email, say, look here, and give a good introduction, and then we look to the pitch deck, if you include it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we might have a call to understand what's going on. And we have a number of questions to find the fit, to find out if your company fits the investment scope. So if it is, then we go further on, and we want to really understand in details your technology, your IP situation, your USP on the market, your competitive advantage. And we want to learn the market and the environment. So if are there any approvals, or how can you access the market? And then, of course, you want to learn to get in touch with the team intensively. So we want to see what's going on. And since you are not just a startup, a very early startup, you have already a bit of a history. So we can see how the management team is performing. And that is, of course, very important. And of course, then we look to the financials. Is it really a good business? Is it attractive? And is the valuation you ask are good for us? Can we agree on this? And at the end, of course, not at the end, we ask for the impact and ESG. So if that is all, we can do that within 3 months. That is, but usually not really faster.
Mm-hmm. I have been looking through the CVs of your team on the website, and I've seen biochemistry, bioprocessing, chemistry, engineers. So you do have a lot of very smart people going through the business models. But I do understand at one point, you cannot just know everything. You also have to ask somebody else about the validity of a certain, let's say, chemical or process that is out there. But nonetheless, you are doing this. And on average, how many pitches do you get, and how many actual investments do you do? What's approximately the ratio?
Yeah, the ratio is not very. You should not look to this ratio because it's frustrating. So we get around 600 business concepts, and we do 5 per year. So that's not. But if we, on the other hand, we are still looking very actively for new investment opportunities, especially in the packaging area, in the industrial biotech area. There's even, from our point of view, we don't see enough companies really have this fit. Mm-hmm. So that's really, if you have a fit, then the number of competitors are not so high, and we really want to invest. Mm-hmm. And we, to be honest, we are very, very proud of our team. So it's a very diversified team. So these are chemists and engineers, but also financial people. And we are very proud that the team is from 14 different countries. So really very diverse. And they are also located all across Europe and Israel. So we have one, Ananya is located in Barcelona, Guillaume in Paris, Stefan in Lyon. And we have somebody in Switzerland. We have somebody from Poland. Juwita moved from Poland to Bonn. and Uli is located in Tel Aviv. And Marie, has just moved to Athens. So we are very spread, and we cover Europe, and we are really European institution. And that's why we love to be called European Circular Bioeconomy Fund. So the name is also the program. It's a bit difficult, but at the end, it's a program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see. So I would say less than 1%, but that's a pretty good probability to get accepted. And as always, I tell the startups first look at the investor, because usually most of the startups you have to sort out because they totally don't match your focus. Right?
Sure.
That's what I do. That's what my personal experience. I also get a lot of inbound traffic for people who want to have an interview here, and they're reaching out from all over the world. And I say, okay, I bring the German speaking startup scene to the world. How are you involved there? I do assume that's the same for you guys. If you're a startup out there looking to pitch investors, do your first research, pitch the right investors. That takes a lot of stress away from you guys. The only thing we did not cover yet is, on average, how long does it take? Like 2, 3, 4, 5 months until from the first application till the investment. And I would assume it's no fixed term, because you also have to find other investors, maybe another lead investor, and have to find an agreement with those other investors.
Yeah, I think 3 months is very quick. That is actually we cannot be faster than 3 months. So if everything is in proper order, then we can do it within 3 months. But sometimes it even takes longer. Yes, It depends on many. If there's no our own process is maybe 3 months, but of course on the other side you have also processes.
Yes. We'll leave down here in the show notes the email where you can pitch the ECBF. And usually when I talk to startups, I have 2 questions. I'll give you a modified version of this. When will you next raise funds, meaning looking for LPs?
Yeah, well, the first fund has a duration period of 5 years. So we are investing from 2020 until 2025. Maybe 1 year later, but that is actually the time we want to have the second fund in place. So I think we will start fundraising in 2024. Actually, in the last quarter of 2024, we're going to start.
Mm-hmm. And of course, are you hiring?
Well, at the moment we are hiring a junior analyst, and so these kind of 1 year gap year interims. But we're also probably looking for somebody high profile, investment director with some venture capital experience in the bioeconomy, and really ambitious and passion to join our mission.
Mm-hmm. I see. Down here in the show notes on our Medium blog, we'll also link your career website, because as we know it, as we understand it, years from now, by the way, this is recorded in early 2023, years from now, people will still listen to this interview, and then you will have different positions open, but the link will still be fine down here in our Medium blog.
Thank you.
Totally my pleasure. Michael, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the interview, and best of luck, and let us know when you're fundraising again.
Thank you, Joe. That was really a pleasure.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.